if you grew up with Batman the Animated Series the same way I did, you owe it to yourself to own this collection. Hey everyone, David here, and I do understand that rapidly and very menacingly, the holidays are approaching. And if you have that special someone, whether it be a friend, family member, a loved one, a partner, etc., if they love the Batman animated series from the 90s and they grew up with it like I did and they have a huge affinity for it, it's one of the seminal cartoons that made up their pillars and their love for Batman, then hey, I got an idea for you. I have the Batman Animated Series Complete Edition, also known as the Deluxe Limited Edition that you see before you here on Blu-ray. And the reason why I specifically say you want to use this as a form of a gift for this holiday season is because it was actually a gift to me from my beloved girlfriend, and it's it's arguably one of the best gifts that she's ever given me. Much appreciated to my baby, love you. And she pretty much gave me this one of these past Christmases, and I lit up when I got it because I'm a huge Batman animated series fan. Grew up with it every Saturday morning with a bowl of cereal, and to have the complete collection that not only includes the TV show but also 2 animated movies and some little mini Funkos thrown into the mix, whew, this is very quintessential. So as you see before you, you have the box and you have the front here that shows one of the more iconic kind of designs for the Batman animated series, which is him in shadow holding his cape, a little bit of a city backdrop with red like lenticular writing going on right there, Batman the animated series with the red font. You have this outline, DC, Deluxe Limited Edition, as well as a window pane showcasing the mini Funkos that we have inside. But we'll get into those once we get into the full unboxing. As you see, Blu-ray and digital, there's obviously not going to be a 4K. That would actually make the whole show look even uglier, considering that it's an old 90s series. As much as I love the animation in 4K, that would just not look all that great. Then we have the spine, of course, just says Batman Limited Edition, Deluxe Limited Edition Animated Series, Blu-ray. Nothing really going on right there except a nice red on black that very much works. And it works almost all these decades later because now the Robert Pattinson Batman movie is using pretty much the same kind of font and layout and color scheme going on right there. So you still have the same kind of reflective lettering going on right there on both spines as well as the top, so nothing really much different there. Then we get to the back, and much like an awful lot of other sets, you have a breakdown of what's included, a picture showcasing the contents inside, which we're going to get to, the legendary series like you've never seen before, a brief description of what the series is all about, which of course is about Batman and his adventures taking on his rogue gallery, but I think it's actually summarized quite eloquently here. When the 2 shots rang out, Bruce Wayne's life changed forever. He pledged himself to justice, and he held that oath for years. Wearing many names, the Dark Knight, the world's greatest detective, the Caped Crusader, and Gotham's greatest hero, he battled tragic foes like Joker, Penguin, Mr. Freeze, and so many more. But deep inside, he knew that he shared something with them the most of humanity wouldn't understand: a commitment to the fight. I mean, look at that. Whoever wrote this, give him a little bit of a raise, or at the very least a bonus. And then of course it goes on to what's included in here and all the different stuff. It's an Emmy award winning series, so definitely have to pay its respects. Some ratings, some other little details, as well as a little sticker here at the bottom that says that this is the limited edition number 15,150 out of, get this, 69,048. I mean, you can take and leave the 48, but the fact that it's 69,000? Nice. Okay, so that's primarily the box. Let's go ahead and start unboxing. Pretty simple and straightforward. Got the top lid right here that, of course, I've already unboxed ahead of time just to kind of give myself a little bit of a breakdown and navigation of how everything works. Straight from the top, you can see right here you have a divide between 2 different parts of the whole collection. At the very back part here, we actually have 2 compartments, one very skinny one and another one that's going to be very big and bulky, and I want to tackle those first before we get to the other little goodies that await inside. First and foremost, we have this much heftier box, and Man, I'm sorry, but I just love this kind of shit. I really do, because I love it when they take the extra mile to make sets like these that feel very collective, and just, kind of cater to the fans. We have a repeat of the cover art here from the much bigger box right here, with the lenticular red going on with the font, Batman, the iconic shot of him holding the cape, the city in the background. As you navigate to the spines, it's ideally the same. You still got the same kind of spine with the reflective patterning there with the logo, same thing on the other side. But then when you get to the back, is actually kind of neat. You just have a very straightforward, clean, yet still badass looking reflective red logo for Batman right there. Very quintessential of the 90s Batman. And then this is actually a box in and of itself. If we go to the top, we have the logo there once again, only this time you'll notice that it looks like there's something else waiting for us inside. As we tip gravity in our favor, you'll notice that we have a book, a very thicky book, waiting for us inside. And as we kind of put these boxes off to the side, you'll notice we have this collective book that says Deluxe Limited Edition Batman the Complete Animated Series. And this is pretty much going to be the animated series in its entirety, along with the 2 bonus movies. And as I move it about the light, you can see that in the background, we actually have sketches of the cartoon characters themselves, from Batman to Robin, Mr. Freeze, Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, and as we flip it to the back, we have even more, such as Two-Face, Gordon, Scarecrow, Alfred, giving off karate hands apparently, and of course, the actual character that was birthed from the animated series, Harley Quinn. Right about there. So as you navigate this book, it actually opens with a foreword by Alan Burnett, writer and producer of the animated series, along with a nice little kind of criminal lineup right here of our rogues gallery, or at least half of our rogues gallery right there, with Joker, Catwoman, Two-Face, Riddler, Freeze, Poison Ivy, Penguin. And I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but we're gonna go towards the back. And not only do you have a voucher for the digital copy of Batman the Animated Series, which does not work. I mean, that's why I'm showing it right here on screen, because it does not work. I've already redeemed it, beat you to it. And then on the back here, you have a nice little sketch of the Gotham City skyline, along with more of the Batman's rogue gallery, such as Scarecrow, Harley Quinzel, Mad Hatter, Man-Bat, and Clayface. So there you have it. Sandwiched in between, however, are these rather thick pages that house our discs. Now, as I mentioned before in other videos that I have covered this, you know I'm not necessarily a tremendous fan of this style of packaging. I love the presentation value of it, but in respect to the discs, I do know that if you're not careful, you do run the risk of scratching the discs, and similar principle is still carried on right here, but they are housed within these thick pages that as you flip through, you have a breakdown of which season you are on, as well as which disc you are pulling out, with a nice little piece of artwork accompanying it right there, as well as any included special features listed on the rightmost page, and a breakdown of the episodes that are contained within. What is kind of fascinating is that as you navigate the pages, you'll notice that some animations change from one to the other. This is actually the perfect example, where you have this Joker right here that looks very much like the original Batman animated series Joker, but as we flip to this side, you'll notice that the face kind of changed it up a little bit to look like Joker did once they officially quote unquote rebranded the show from Batman the Animated Series to The Adventures of Batman and Robin, or The New Adventures of Batman and Robin, or Batman and Robin the series, or whatever you want to call it. There's been different interpretations, but they kind of renamed the show to an extent. Even though it was still Bruce Timm, it was still the same kind of animation style, it was still kind of carried over. It wasn't an official rework of the show until we got to New Adventures of Batman. Then it starts to get a little bit different as far as the animation style. But here we have more characters, and as we flip to the discs, you'll notice that Season 1 makes up the bulk of the show. We get to almost like this part right here, where we have 5 whole discs making up Season 1, and then we finally get to Season 2 here, where Robin takes up a much bigger presence. And as we navigate, we get eventually to a bonus disc with most of the special features for the animated show, and then the last 2 pages comprise of the animated movies, such as Mask of the Phantasm and my personal favorite, I'm sorry, but I know I'm having a little bit of nostalgic glasses here, Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, because I grew up with this movie more so than Mask of the Phantasm. I appreciate how Mask of the Phantasm tells that origin story in a very poetic way, and I do understand that. It's just a matter of preference. They're both great. I just prefer Sub-Zero because, again, I grew up with it, and there's just there's a place in my heart, from my cold, cold heart, for Sub-Zero. And that does it for the actual show itself within this set. Now we get on to the giddy giddies, which are mainly going to be two. One of which is right here in this nice little collective envelope that you see before you, with this nice, very stylized and very noir-like kind of artwork here at the top or the front, with the Batman logo, Batman right there, reminiscent of the title sequence where his cape is flowing as the lightning strikes. A nice little background of the city right there that is very concept artwork looking. And then you have, of course, the logo, DC logo. Not much really going on in the back except more of that city skyline, very reminiscent of that noir artwork that they used for concept. And then as you open the envelope, you are then treated to lenticular cards to commemorate the limited edition Batman animated series. These are lenticular cards, so I don't know how well they're going to come across on camera, but they're meant to have that 3D effect. Actually, that's actually kind of working a little bit. That's kind of dope. All right, so yeah, you can kind of see it right there that they do have a little bit of movement as you move them from side to side to give off that 3D effect. And the first one is, of course, this iconic shot of Batman lunging into action. What's kind of cool is that as you flip through them, you also have more artwork on the back. That's meant to be more so of the locales of Gotham City. You have the police station right there from Batman the Animated Series. Then as we move forward, we have another one. Actually, if you want to consider it, this is kind of like the continuation of that lunging motion. He's lunging to stop the Joker along with the help of Harley Quinn there in the back. There's that one. And as we flip it, we have the Lavco Factory. We have a very romantic one of Batman saving Catwoman, one of his many love interests. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I think it's his only love interest. You take things into consideration over the big picture look of the show. And as you can see, can't really see it very well, but if we punch in a little bit on this specific frame, you'll notice Batman's actually kind of smiling there. I think it's the only times that I've seen him smile. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Bat boner.
And flipping that one will then show us just more of the skyline from Gotham. Not much really going on in that one. And then we have another one here of Batman trying to save the day, rescue, I almost wanted to say Vicky Vale, but I can't remember if that was her. I just know that she was a reporter who's now being threatened by sulfuric acid that the Joker's about to dump her in via one of his many sickly games. And flipping that one will give us, this one's actually kind of cool, will give us a quick, what looks like concept art for the Batcave. Right there. And then this one, this is actually, in my opinion, one of the cornier ones, but hey, it still has its charm. You have Penguin floating down with what I'm assuming is a bag of money, but I think the cornier part is Batman gliding down with a bat glider. You just, I don't know what it is, but one of his famous bat gadgets there. All we need now is the shark repellent at that point. But more skyline shots right there. This one's aesthetically a little bit different. Then we have a cool one here of him trying to catch Two-Face, who's speeding off in a rampant car. Right about there, and then flipping that one will give us actually a replication of the back of that envelope. So a nitpick would be that maybe they could have gotten a little more creative with those backgrounds on the back, but that's not the flashier side, so I guess that kind of makes sense. And then our last one is, oh no, Bats in Peril from the twisty vines of Poison Ivy. Right there. And then this, why do I keep flipping it the wrong way? Wow. But we have a street view of Gotham right there. And that does it for the lenticular cards that do get thrown in, that are a nice little showpiece. But that's not necessarily why I was vying for this collector's edition necessarily, because as many of you OGs know, I am a huge fan of Funko Pops. Now there is a catch, and that is that they're not the full-sized Funkos as you would expect. They're actually meant to be mini Funkos. And as you can see, they really don't take up that much space. So you take these out, they're plastic prison there. Move the box off to the side, and you get 3 included in the set. Of course, you gotta have your Batman, you gotta have your Joker, but of course you also have to have the character that was, again, stemmed from the animated series, and that's where she got first bit of the spotlight, and that's of course Harley Quinn. So taking them out, pretty simple, you just kind of pop them out, and as you can see, they're meant to be small Funkos. They're definitely not bobbleheads. They're meant to be kind of like a type of thing that you would put on desks, and they each have their own personal little quirks, one of which is a little too detrimental, I unfortunately have to say, and you can kind of already see a little bit of that happening. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of put them off to the floor here and just kind of not really worry about them too much. But let's tackle one at a time. First and foremost, we got Batsy right here, and Batsy's pretty neat. He's got a pretty basic look to him. I don't know how I feel about the blue on gray. He looks like the 1975 Batman, which is weird because this is supposed to be the animated series Batman, so I would have appreciated if the color was black instead of blue. But everything else looks very aesthetically accurate to the animated series Batman, so it's a cute little Funko here holding the Batarang in place, and of course you have the little detailing with the logo and the paint. And the only other thing I probably would have said is that instead of having the circular eyes, maybe kind of cut them off at the top to give him that like stern, much more stern look. Otherwise though, I like it, you know, pretty neat. No, I can't complain too much. Then we have the Joker. The Joker is probably the first one that I looked at and went, okay, I like what they're doing with the face, with the spiral look on the eyes. And again, going back to what I mentioned about Batman, that they could have cut off the eyes at the top to give him a much more frowning look. They kind of had a similar idea going on with Joker here, where you see the eyebrows kind of at an angle to give him that much more maniacal look, even more so than what the eyes are conveying with the spirals. And then the smile, of course, very essential for the Joker. And then you have the outfit with the little details of the buttons and the collar and the lapels right there, so that's pretty cute. What I did find a little curious though is that going back to Batman here, the color scheme on the hair could have been shaded in a little bit better. I'm not a huge fan of this like slimy green, because I give him props for angling the hair to be pointed in the same style as it is in the animated series, but the color, you know, they could have played around with the shadows just a tad, even with the head being this size, they still could have done it. The body's another thing, you know, the body's admittedly a little too small that I'm like, all right, I could do without the lining of the suit, for example, but the hair, I think they could have like given it some shadow or some things to give him that much more accurate animated series Joker look. Aside from that though, he's still pretty dope. Then we get on to our troublesome troublemaker here, Harley Quinn, which is ironic because out of the two, she's the one that looks completely accurate to how she looks like in the animated show, like from the head to the costume to the detail to the paint job, like literally everything, even the body. Which even has the little spades on the side of her thigh right there. You can even make it out right there, and has the included accessory of the mallet right there, her weapon of choice. And I just am flabbergasted by the fact that despite being the most accurate looking of the 3 little mini Funkos, she's also the most frustrating, because I don't know if it's something to do with the molding of the feet or the mallet's placement amongst the feet. She can never stand. She never stands. There's literally no way to get her to stand. The other 2 have feet that work in their favor, but because of the way they molded Harley's body in this manner, she just cannot stand. She literally can't. Like, whether it be because of the mallet or the placement of the feet, there's no way. I've tried every single thing. The only thing I can do is find a permanent spot for her on the shelf or something and literally crazy glue her. But otherwise, or find some kind of base. Maybe if I could find like a base that's about the size of a dime, super glue her to it, and then that'll be that. Otherwise, she's not standing. Her head does a better like this. Her head does a better job of standing. It's probably the best thing that her head could probably even do at this point. And it was through my playing around with these Funkos, specifically Harley, because she kept falling over, that I noticed on the underside of each of their heads is another little nitpick that I would have with these Funkos, is that despite being small and very cute with interesting little details to be thrown in with this collection, they sometimes do feel a little cheaper than you would expect out of your typical Funkos, obviously because they're meant to be smaller, and they generally don't make them in this size. They're meant to be thrown in with this limited edition out of 69,000. You'll notice that there are some seams and some cutouts of the plastic, along with the little etching and the writing here of the trademarks. You got trademark DC. Looks a little ugly to have that right underneath his chin right there. And then we go over to Batman and you have a little bit of the white lettering going on right here with the trademark stuff. So it's a little too obvious that that's kind of thrown in there, along with, like I said, the seams and the separations and the cuts of the plastic. You can kind of see that a little bit around his head right here. Especially when I cut to the B-roll, you'll notice that there's some parts of the head where you can see a little bit of the molding and where they cut the pieces off to manufacture them. That it kind of ruins a little bit of the immersion, and it kind of feels like they were slightly made in a rush. I don't know why, but to be thrown in with the collector's edition, there are a nice little cute addition. There's just a couple of things that to point out that could have been just a little bit better, but I'll happily take the trademarking lettering on the Funkos as well as those little seams if it meant that at least Harley could stand, because this reminds me an awful lot of that meme that I've seen of King Ghidorah, where like the two heads look all fierce and mean and badass, and then you have the one derpy one, and there she goes. So minus the nitpick of the Funkos, if someone really treasures the animated series the way that I do, this is definitely a staple to have in your collection. I know I'm partially a little biased because the way I feel about the animated series, and also where this came from as a gift from my beloved. But nevertheless, you have not only all 100, I think it's like 109, 100 and something episodes of Batman the Animated Series. You get Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero, digital copies of the entire thing, special features to watch to see the behind the scenes making of the show, and then you have these lenticular cards and the Funkos, along with all this collective packaging that's very fun to rummage through. I would say that if you can find this holiday season, even at a sale, which I often sometimes do see it go for, or if you do manage to not necessarily get the collector's edition or the deluxe edition here, but still the animated series on Blu-ray overall, definitely do not skip out on it. Thank you guys for making it to the very end of the video. Make sure to hit that thumbs up. Make sure to comment in the section below if you guys own this one and what's your favorite part of it. What's your favorite Batman animated series episode? Let them be known in the comment section. And if you guys by some chance want to see me cover this bad boy in the future, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Take care and stay humble.